Hey guys, RC here, back with episode 5 of our tutorial for Draft Day Sports College Basketball. The 2017 version just came out a couple of months ago. We have tried to limit each video thus far to one particular nook and cranny of the game. Last episode, we started with recruiting. As promised, at the end of that, I have not changed the screen at all. In fact, I'm just recording this immediately after that. And we're just trying to cover recruiting at this point. So, um, hopefully you have watched that video. If you have not, I recommend at least going back and watching the first part 1 of recruiting, which was episode 4. This is episode 5 and will be part 2 of recruiting. I think, I want to go far enough into recruiting that you can see how to evaluate, analyze, and look at things. Let me put a disclaimer out there right now. By no means is this a be-all, end-all to recruiting, and by no means is this the only way to do it. And that's the great thing about the game. You're free to do it however you want. My goal in this is just to kind of show you how to maneuver around, how we're looking at players, how to evaluate players, how to get an idea of who you might want to go after, things of that nature, and then from there you're kind of at your own whim as far as what you want to do. So just to really quickly recap what we've done, we've turned off the quick recruiting. I do want to turn it on right now because remember, we have added all these people to our call list, right? So now we're going to update. Well, why is that not working now? Oh, because I have to turn that on. There we go. There we go. All right, so you have to click the box again, RC, you idiot. All right, so you have to have your watching on, and you have to have this box on, the quick list. Now look what it does. So we still have our same list. It's just condensed into a shorter, you can only see about 8 players here, but you can see this whole new action screen pops up. Now, just like on the player card, here's your top 10 schools. Here, from the bottom right hand part, about right here, you have the notes, which is from the right side over here. You have the recruit information, which is the upper central part right here. You do not have the parents' information. And then you have the scholarship, watch film, and host recruit. So you don't have the ability to add to a call list from here because they're already on your call list, obviously. But there are a few things that you can do here, but you can't do everything. Okay, you can't make the phone calls to players. You may like this, you may not. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how I feel about it because I can see liking it to a certain extent because I can do certain things in it quickly. For example, I've sorted by interest just now. Well, let's say that I want to go to him and I want to do film, and I want to do film on my top 10 guys. Well, I can do that really quickly here, right? And you notice the players are turning blue as they're done, and my spacing on my wheel is way off. I got a new mouse a while back, and I just haven't dialed it in perfectly yet. All right, so you can see I've added these guys, and now it grays out because it's $20 per film session, and I have 0 left. So you can do 10 a week. So next week I can watch film on these guys. Now what this is going to do is it's going to give me, let's click on Samuel. Oh, I can't get into the player card from here. Okay. So well, let's come back and do this. I wanna offer a visit. Offer a visit. Actually, I don't want. And you see that I can't. These are the ones that are on the bottom that you can't change once you've done it. Okay. Now they may tell you no, coach. I don't feel like a visit's in the best interest for me right now. Um, and you'll get a little pop up and it'll say okay, and you can hit the enter button or you can mouse click on it. Now let's turn this off. Okay, now we're back to the player card. All right, now let's go back to Samuel, and I do want to look at the call list, which is the same players right now. Interest. All right, now they're not blue anymore because I'm on this screen instead of the quick recruiting screen, but you can see this asterisk by their name, the first 10 guys. That tells you that you have made some type of recruiting action. Tip, an asterisk indicates a recruiting action is planned for this week. Okay, so let's come back in at Samuel again and just kind of rehash a little bit. So when we looked at that quick recruiting screen, we had the ability to watch film and host a visit. That's here, but we did not have this part here. Okay, we had the recruit information, but we did not have the parent information. We could not see the ratings, but we could see the top 10 schools, and we could see the notes. So a lot of the information here is available on that quick recruiting. What that's helpful for is what we just did, to add film, scouts, host recruits very quickly for all your people. But then you have to come in anyway and do your detail work. Okay, so what's next? We've put out all of our films because we have 0 remaining. We have put out all of our host recruits. Scouting is not an option because it's grayed out. Visit recruits is not an option because it's grayed out. And I've added all my people to a call list. Or have I? Let's come back. I want to come into the Atlantic East region because that's going to be the base of my recruiting out of Virginia. I want to go up to this, and remember we said, now originally he was like number 60, remember? Somewhere around there, 70, 78 by region. Well, now that we're looking at the national, the regional comes in here, the national rankings come in here and here. So I hope that makes sense. Each one of these two work off the same OVR rating, which is the national ranking. The book works off of the regional ranking, and it gives it completely different numbers. So what we had decided was we have a guy that's a number 300, 425, 345, 302. So anything below 300, 300 and higher ranked, we might have a shot at. So let's sort by OVR. And then we're just going to, and what we're looking, I want to take, I need to take off the call list and watching because we want everybody. All right, we want to go down to the 300 OVR range right here. All right, now I can't tell from here, so we're just going to do this at random. All right, now Samuel I know because we've already done him. So remember we were able to use these short hotkeys. I'm just going to click on all these guys. Now it says he's already on the list. He got added, and I'm just going to go down the list. There's no issue if they're already on your list. It will not duplicate them. And what we're looking for at this point is we're looking to find when we reach the point of, that it will not do anything, that you won't get any note. And look, right there. All right, I'm hitting B's, but nothing's happening. Why do you think that is? Can you remember? If you remember that I told you that we had a cap of 50 players on our call and watch list, that's what that means. It means we've hit our 50 player cap. Okay. Now, this is not the best way to recruit because I haven't even looked at my roster to see what I need, if I need to look at certain positions, anything of that nature. Okay. Maybe you don't want to recruit a 5'8" point guard, even if he has the handle of Magic Johnson. Well, you can sort by height, you can take out certain heights, whatever. All right. But all I wanted to do is I wanted to use all 50 of my slots. Because remember, you want to spend your entire budget during the course of recruiting, not in 1 week. There's no way to do that unless you overspend in the off season on reports and camps. But during recruiting, you cannot. It takes all year to spend that money. Okay, so now if we update for this, now you can see we have this list, and if we count all that, it should be 50 players because there's a 50 player cap. So when it stops adding players, that's what that means. Okay, now luckily enough, we have interest levels all the way down. That's incredible. You might not, but that's actually really good because in the recruiting, when you are set up to call, right? That is every week your assistant coach that's in charge of recruiting is going to call that player. Hey Jermaine, this is Bob. I'm the assistant coach for VCU. Just wanted to call and see how you were doing this week. We're really excited about you coming to visit our school one day. We'd love you to consider coming to play for us, yada, yada, yada. That's what that is. And that's going to help build a player's interest, possibly, not all the time. Okay, so as we advance, what we're going to want to keep an eye on is, are these guys going from 1s and 2s up to 2s and 3s? Are they falling to where they have minus signs? Once they have a minus sign, I may want to come into them and take them off of my list and add somebody new on. So if you're at a low prestige school, just because people have minus signs, you may only have 3 or 4 or 5 people that have any interest, and they may all be 1 stars. Okay, so that's where I would start, and then add in all, find that range of player that you think you should be calling and start adding to your call list from those guys, even if they have a minus sign and say they have no interest whatsoever. Because over the weeks, especially if you're spending money on them, and calling them, their interest level could go up. Okay, it may not, but it could, and that's a way you might get some interest for some other players that you can consider for your scholarships. Here's another thing, and this is kind of important, so you may want to make special note of this. There are 2 key recruiting dates. One is this week of November 13th. It's early LOI signings. LOI is letter of intent. That's when they commit to play for your school. Now, the way the game works, in real life, an LOI is just that. It's, Coach, I want to play for you. I promise that I'll play for you. But signing day does not happen until after the season. So sometime in May, after the season ends. They can always back out of an LOI in real life. But they do tell me on the forums, in the game, once they have committed to you, it's a done deal. Now I have and you can't cut that player, so offer scholarships at your leisure. Now, there's no reason to really offer a scholarship right here at the beginning because nobody's going to sign until this week. So you can actually wait and get good evaluations and see if you can get some of those other players interested before you offer, maybe late July, early September, mid-September. The earlier you put a scholarship, the more it's going to keep their interest, because if you don't offer but somebody else does, then that could drive down their interest in your program as well. But here's the tip. Here's the important thing. Make sure you write this down or stick it in your head somewhere. Keep this in mind while you're playing DDSCB17. If you're at a low prestige school, repeat, if you're at a lower prestige school, save some of your budget for this late March, early April period. Let me repeat, save some of this budget for the late March, early April period, this quiet and dead week. RC, why would I want to do that? Didn't you tell me in every video up to now to spend all my budget? Yes, I did. Save some money to spend here. Why? Because you'll typically see a lot of signings in this early LOI signing period. Guess what that means? All those players are gone. All those scholarships are gone from the teams that signed them. Now there may be some higher ranked players that did not garner any attention. Maybe there was that guy that's ranked number 125 in the country that really wanted to go to North Carolina. And North Carolina said, hey, we got 3 guys in the top 100. We don't need you. And now the guy's sitting around and nobody's offered him a scholarship. And North Carolina and Duke and NC State and Wake Forest have all burned their scholarships. And now this kid's looking around going, hey, I'm number 125 in the country and nobody has offered me a scholarship. What do I do? Well, guess what? That's where you can swoop in and maybe, just maybe, get some interest on this kid and get a player much higher rated than you had a chance in this early period to even think about landing. Not a guarantee, but it is possible. So you look for the people that fall through the cracks from the bigger, more elite programs, and you might be able to steal a kid that would then be by far and away the best player on your team. So don't save everything. Don't go in and say, hey, I've got 3 scholarships this year. What am I going to do? Well, don't save all of them, but save one. If you've got 5 scholarships, maybe save 2. You know, try to get the bulk of your recruiting done early, but as a low prestige school, save at least 1 and enough money to recruit that player. Now, I'm just realizing VCU's not really a good indicator for this because we don't have any scholarships. Well, I don't know if we can fix that. I don't know if cuts will help. He's a walk-on. He's a walk-on. I can't cut a player here. Oh, I can release here, though. Now, the problem is, let's look at ratings. Well, I'm not going to actually play this season, so let me just try. Let's come back to roster. Releasing us. See, oh, my 2 seniors are walk-ons. That's why. You know, you hate to cut your best guy, so I'd hate to do that. All right, he's a point guard, outside shooter. He looks pretty good. Inside. Underdeveloped. underdeveloped, but he doesn't look bad. He probably needs to redshirt. Freshman. Oh, you know what I could do? Let's do this. They actually have, I wish I could find, I wish they had the star rating on here. I wish they could have, you could see that. All right, so let's see, 2, 2.5, a 1, 2. That's Red Hage. Michaels. All right, let's cut Michaels. Just for he's on scholarship. All right, Jim Michaels, release. Now, that is something. They don't want you just releasing players willy-nilly, so you do take a prestige hit to your school. All right, well, I'm going to say cancel because I wouldn't do that, and I have a high integrity from my coaches, so I wouldn't do that to a kid anyway. So we're kind of stuck. We're not going to have any scholarships for VCU this year. We can still go through recruiting. I'm just trying to, I don't know that we'll actually get to the point we sign anybody. I don't think I'll need to go that many weeks. I may not even go outside of 1 week because it's going to be the same thing. All right. So basically, what you're doing, just to recap, recruiting. We've got about 5.5 minutes left. I think I can wrap this up in that time, and this could be it as far as the recruiting portion goes. Use these filters up here to filter out and look for the right player for you. Okay. Again, just because you have a guy that's rated as a, and you don't see star ratings here because they're not on your campus yet. But what you're going to want to do is, let's sort by interest again. So we have added everybody on the list here. Every time you change a filter, you have to update. All right, so if we look at him, we've hosted. Now what you want to do is you can see every week you have this much time. Now this is not a timer itself. It's basically every time you do anything, you'll lose that time. So I don't know exactly how many things you can do, maybe 10 things in a week, but you want to kind of split these up between a couple of players. So what do? Well, let's call him. If you do not have your sound on, you did not hear the phone ring. If you do have your sound on, and I recommend turning it on at least for this video, just so you can hear. What I'm going to want you to listen for is when they hang up the phone, when it clicks to disconnect. Okay? Now, there's a couple of things we want to do here. We can talk about general information, try to get information from him on his interest level, and from his about his parents. We can end the call. Now, once you click on that, it disconnects the call. You can only call the player 1 time per week. The first thing I do is go into the pitch area. There are 7 pitches for each player, and this is going to help you find out what is important to Mr. Samuel or whatever player we're looking at. Location, he's in Covington, West Virginia. Hey, Coach, good to hear from you. What would you like to talk about? Hey, Jermaine, this is the coach from VCU. Hey, how important is location to you? Well, you see it went from no info that it disappeared. Now we've gotten information there. Playing close to home, very important. Big factor in my decision. You can see that we have lost a little bit of time, and a reminder right here as well. Here's your tip. Okay? The response are based on your recruiting influence and skills to get better and more specific information than your recruiting assistant can. So you're the one making the call. When they're on your call list, your assistant coach is calling. He's trying to get the same information. But if you have a better ability in recruiting, you might be able to get something different that your assistant can't. Now, do we want one of these, two of these, three of these? Real quick, you notice the B for bribes? Okay, you can use keyboard shortcuts here. Look, I'm going to hit G. We went back to the general info. I'm going to hit P, pitch areas, right where we were. Okay, now bribes. You remember in the first video when I did the setup, I turned off illegal recruiting. If you had illegal recruiting turned on, you would have a third option in here called bribes, and then end call. Okay, well, we figured out location is very important. How about academics? Not a big concern. How about prestige? Bottom of my priority list. Okay, well, I'm not going to push my luck here. Let's go to general. Hey, what's your interest level? Oh, I can see playing for you. You're on my list. Let's talk about your parents. Okay, I think that's enough for you this week. We've used about a third of our information. We're going to hit E, or you could drop down and go to end call. I want you to listen. He hung up the phone. We ended the call, so he hung up. There will be times when you are calling people and they will just disconnect like that. Again, if your sound is off, you won't hear the sound, but you'll bounce back to this screen from your call screen. Don't freak out. All that means is the call ended. I also want you to notice the call player button disappears. It grays out. You can only call him once a week. So after we advance, we can call him again next week and try to get some more information. Now, no notes, so our assistant coach has not dug anything up on the player. We have found out that location is very high. School prestige means next to nothing. Academics is not important. So, if we were Stanford, if we had an A academic rating, if academics was important to us as a coach, he's not going to care. So that would not be a selling point for him to come to our school. Location is because he's in Virginia, right? And we are number 5 on his list. Let's go ahead and put a cut in here. I thought I was going to be able to do that, but we still have some phone calls to make. I want to walk you through that more than once, so you make sure you pick up everything that you can do in there. And then we're going to advance the week, and then we'll do an evaluation of what's changed, what has transpired. We'll try to wrap that up in the next video, but again, I think recruiting is so darn important, especially in the college game. Honestly, recruiting makes and breaks these games to me, by far. You know, that's what the heart of college sports is recruiting players, not the games. Those are great, but it's the recruiting, you know, that's going on. So let's go ahead and put a cut in here. Thanks for checking out the video, and we'll be back with another episode for recruiting next time. Take care.